So book 3, Mere Christianity. So my name is Michael. Today I will leading the discussion. So the first question is about, do you cite more society explanation about the morality being a way to limit happiness of Lewis' description of morality resembling a fleet of sheep?
So the limiting happiness part is just a way. It's not really limiting your happiness. It gives you a way to live your life up to the maximum capacity, like how you follow the moral values. If that makes any sense.
Like a rule?
Yes, the kind of rule. Like people. You might think that breaking some of the rules make you happier, but it's not really making you happier. It's something the devil makes it seem that it's happy, and it's like it'll make you happy to do it, and then you break the rule, and then you break the moral law, and then like have you ever done something where you break a rule? It seemed that I was gonna be cool or happy when you do it, and then after that you're like, what was the point of me doing that? So it's kind of stupid after.
So kind of like sins may seem fun in the short term, but it's really distracting us from salvation and long-term happiness.
Yeah, that guilt that we feel when doing something wrong is our soul telling us that it wasn't necessarily the right thing to do. Happiness is a general term, and to feel happy at a certain point doesn't mean you're gonna feel happy throughout your whole life. The only way to truly feel happy is to be one with God, because the way that He wants us to live is the way that we need to live. And maybe having more money or sinning will make you happy short term, but that won't keep you happy, because there's only so much money you can have and so much stuff you can buy. You look at many of the billionaires of the world, and a lot of them are very religious, because they feel that there's only so much money can do for you. And if you look at Bill Gates and everything that he does for other people, and the billions of dollars that he donates to people in need, that shows that life of Christ that he sees. Because you need to live a life of giving to be able to be one with God, and that is the true way to happiness.
Yeah, God makes you find joy in you giving to other people. He will give you the joy when you will.
My opinion on this is that I would side more with C.S. Lewis's description of morality being kind of a constant balance between the individual, society, and salvation. So the individual being, your own inner harmony, and the society being your harmony between other individuals, and salvation being your purpose of life. And these three aspects of morality, I think they resemble a lot of the fleet ships that Lewis talks about. How a fleet ship, so if you think about the aspect of individual, the ship has to be running smoothly. Like let's say it has engine problems, they won't get to their final destination. And then society being, if they drift apart from each other, if they bump into each other, that will also cause problems. And then the final one being salvation, being ultimately getting to their final goal of where they want to be.
Want to be what?
The ultimate destination.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. People are always stronger together, and as you see, the strongest societies have a common goal. And the common goal as Christians is to lead others to heaven and lead yourself to heaven. And that is the only way to true happiness.
So, question 2. Do you agree that our sexual instinct has gone wrong?
I don't think it's our sexual instinct being itself as wrong or bad. Kind of just, we misuse our freedom, and we kind of fall into the temptation of the sexual instinct. So I feel like that, it can lead us to, doing wrong, but itself, we still need sexual instinct.
Yes, God designed us as people to be sexual beings, but it has to be in the way of love and not lust.
Yeah.
It's one thing to love someone, but to lust someone is leading them down the wrong path. To abuse someone just for their looks is completely wrong. And the fact is that the only real way that God wants us to have that sexuality is in love and in His image.
Yeah, I think what James said is true. And then also, when God originally created us back with Adam and Eve, there was no sin, and so sexual lust is sin. And so back then, they probably, according to the Bible, there was nothing like that. So God created us in where we would just love each other, we would just love each other, and there was no sin. And it's all like right now the sexual like instinct. It's only bad like because the devil gives us like desires and like he changes our minds and gives us like thoughts and other things that will make us lust and like want to sin.
So we can't freely just follow these temptations. We need to kind of restrain ourselves.
Yeah, and that's why like if you follow the moral laws, you'll be closer to God and He will help you push off all these temptations from the devil.
Yeah, we need that guidance because without God, we cannot see a clear path. And that's how sin was real.
What's your opinion on this?
So my opinion is a little bit different like you guys.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, I agree our sexual instinct is wrong.
Okay.
Because you know why? Like, just say like now a lot of people, the young people in society, right? They have sex before they become adult or be married. I think this is a mistake, right? So you have to like understand you can have that before you be married because you are not putting the responsible for them, right?
Yeah, I think he's also like trying to say a point that being responsible for them. Let's say you have sex with someone, you get them pregnant. At this young age, you can support a family.
Yeah,
That's why he's saying you can be responsible for them.
that's true.
I mean, that's why it's bad to have before marriage.
God's interests are our interests. He sees what we need, and that is obviously something that we're not ready for. And He wants us to be ready for having a child.
Question 3. Loving my enemies doesn't apparently mean thinking they are nice. What does it mean?
So we all have a duty to forgive our enemies, but this doesn't necessarily mean to have feelings of affection for them. It's kind of just a way of saying you kind of want them to be better as an individual, but maybe you don't agree with their behaviors at one specific point. Doesn't mean that you hate them as an overall being. So it's kind of just a way of saying you still want well for them as an overall.
Yeah, as Lewis said, we don't have to love the actions that they do, but you should love the person if they go back into the right. You want them to be salvated and to be saved from the sin that they have. And maybe they do you wrong, but you have to love them in a way that they know that they can come back from the mistakes they made, because everyone makes mistakes. And maybe a lot of the mistakes are grand. You don't have to love someone for what they've done, but you have to love them in the way that they are a person and they deserve them.
A quote that kind of reminds me of this is he talks about in his forgiveness chapter a quote saying how we could be cured and made human again, even for making like a wrong choice. We're still, yeah, like he said, we can be made human again.
Yeah, because I think when the enemies were created, God created them that way. So, and God created everyone with supposed to be good, but somehow they drifted off and became sinners. And so we should, as Christians, we should wish for them salvation, as James said, and want them to become back and like become with Christ, unity with Christ. And this has also been like a controversial like concept in the Bible, because also in the Psalms, there's many of them where like David would say, like when he wrote the Psalms, some of them say, oh, like talk about how God will diminish your enemies, but also God says in the New Testament how we should love the enemies,
Yeah.
and not like want for them to diminish.
Yeah, look at Jesus when He was on the cross. He was still asking God to forgive them of what they've done. And He was put through brutal torture, and even He would have every right to be angry and upset and hate those people, but He asked for them to forgive them.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, when he was on the cross, he said, he asked God, like, forgive them for they do not know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Because he wanted for them to be saved for
Yeah.
salvation. Because that's why he originally came down for us.
Yes. It's a great example of him loving his enemy, someone who did wrong to him. He still, loved him and wanted good for him, for all the people.
Okay. So I agree of James' point. That's a good point. So Jesus in the cross, he said, he asked God, right, trying to forgive the people who killed him, right? So this is a good point, but it doesn't mean like the people who killed him is a good people, right?
Mhm.
Which the meaning of like Jesus asked God forgive them is mean like give a chance them can change the mistake.
Yeah, so he kind of acknowledges that what they're doing is wrong in the moment, but he kind of hopes for them to change, be
Yeah.
better in the long
still love the person that they can be, not who
Yeah.
they are
Yes.
necessarily.
So basically, it also relates back to the chapters about forgiveness and how we should love them and forgive them so that they can become better and close to Christ.
So today's last question is, how does being humble help us to get on in the Christian life?
If you look at God and Jesus, that was the most powerful man to ever touch the earth. He was divine yet human at the same time, and how humble he was just shows that
Yeah.
there's no one more great than Jesus, and so there's no way that you should not be humble, because if you look at all the people that are greater than you, they should be more humble as well. So you have to think about it as a ladder, and there's no one above God, so you can't think of
Yeah.
yourself as better than someone else, because you're not.
Even in society, you can't think of being better than someone else, or like thinking that with having more wealth makes you somewhat superior than like your peers around you.
Yeah, sure, you might be better than someone at something. That doesn't make you a better human being.
Yeah, Christ was basically the perfect example of how to live the Christian life, and there's many examples throughout his story that showed humbleness. He was born in a manger, first of all, and he was a god. He's a king. There are also many other stories where he let the woman who was a sinner kiss his feet, even though like he was supposed to be a god. Oh, no sinner should touch him, because that's how the Pharisees do it. The Pharisees just they keep the sinners off of them. They don't want them close to them. They're like, oh, well, I'm holy. I don't want anyone who's a sinner close to me. But he let the woman who was a sinner come kiss his feet and come close to him. He also entered into the leper's house. So there's many examples throughout the Bible in Jesus' story where he was being very humble.
Yeah, if you look at the followers of Christ, they were sinners and prostitutes and just bad people in some cases, but he still chose them because he knew that their humbleness would represent him correctly. Because you have to realize that as a human being, there is no greater human than any of us. We are all equal, and there is nothing that separates us.